The victims of that practice a sort of consolation prize. The promise of flyers with bilingual information about dental fluorosis to be posted at WIC centers around town. The flyers on the screen there, which I've distributed to you as a handout, are quite attractive with bright kid colors and an appearing layout. Unfortunately, they're also grossly misleading. The very first sentence is just plain wrong. So-called optimally fluoridated water poses many health risks for infants, of which you're all aware. The last paragraph contains an egregious contradiction. After telling mothers how to minimize an infant's exposure to fluoride, it then adds that if they do so, your baby's doctor may recommend fluoride supplements beginning at age 6 months. And he may not. But the wording has been made deliberately vague. The doctor may recommend supplements beginning at 6 months, and then he may not. Either way, such a recommendation would be faulty. The upshot is to plant doubt in the parent's mind and to promote the bogus notion of a nutritional need for fluoride, theoretically beginning on baby's 6-month birthday. Why 6 months? When milk or formula is a baby's primary sustenance for the first full year. And both the CDC and ADA's 2006 cautions about mixing formula with fluoridated tap water plainly referenced the first 12 months of life. My best guess is that infants cut their first tooth on average around 6 months. So even the fluoride pushers, in their frenzy to sell their product, recognize the absurdity of trying to peddle a supposed cavity fighter for toothless beings. But the moment that first tooth erupts, voila, a new customer is born. The CDC ADA warnings, however, pertain to dental fluorosis, and babies over 6 months of age are no less susceptible to that condition than those under 6 months. Fluorosis develops in teeth as they form beneath the gums, and the 6 to 12 month old is still living largely on liquids. So why should a doctor want to prescribe any fluoride at all? We've tracked the language of this strange final sentence to the document from which it was cribbed word for word, a February 2010 newsletter written by one J. Hocker, MD of the Mayo Clinic. Ironically, Mayo, once a supporter of water fluoridation, has withdrawn its endorsement. So that shouldn't even be there.
Thank you, Mr. Olenick. Next, Linda Greene is speaking on fluoride. Fluoride resolution.
Here is the fluoride resolution one more time. I think this is maybe 7 or 8 times we've gotten it, but I think it's very important. Do not put a warning label. You unanimously voted not to put a warning label on our water bill. And this is extremely disturbing to me. It's one of the issues we asked that you resolve a year ago. And there are facts here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 government-issued studies, Center for Disease Control, National Academy of Sciences, lowered IQ in children, and the fact that this is hexafluorosilicic acid that you're adding to our water. So it's disturbing to see that you're telling the public water that is fluoridated and a level optimal for oral health, as is used in Austin, poses no health risk for infants. How can you possibly say that the hexafluorosilicic acid that you add to our water is safe for infants, let alone anybody else or pets, when that same hexafluorosilicic acid also has arsenic, lead, cadmium, and radionuclides in it because it comes from a phosphate fertilizer quarry in Florida. It's not calcium fluoride, it's not sodium fluoride, it's not pharmaceutical grade fluoride. And as you all know, the most effective way to treat your teeth is to topically apply it, although I wouldn't get near it with a 10-foot pole as it's been used for rat poison as well. suffering from thyroid disease, as you do, Chris Riley. I have acute and chronic insomnia. Anybody else here up there got insomnia? Well, at 4 o'clock this morning, I was listening to the radio and I heard one of your ads on the anti-smoking campaign. Millions of dollars the CDC has given to y'all for the anti-smoking campaign, and there it goes. Cigarettes are full of arsenic, lead, cadmium, and other toxins, 1,000 toxins. Now, people have a choice to smoke. I would choose not to, and I don't want anybody getting secondhand smoke, but we're not given a choice. When you add to our drinking water an ingredient that is toxic to our health, just like cigarettes are, you have no right to medicate us, and we want you to, as per se of this resolution this year, to vote an end to the practice of artificial water fluoridation with hexafluorosilicic acid, and until that time, issue an immediate moratorium on this until you've done further studies at millions of dollars to the cost. Maybe CDC can give us that
Thank you,
money
Linda.
to study it.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Next, we have Heather Fazio on city issues.
Hi, good afternoon, Council. My topic is city issues. Specifically, I want to talk about the militarization of our local police department. There was a time in this country when peace officers were honored and respected, but now as we move forward in this post-9/11 world, a world where the illusion of security is held at a higher value than the liberty of the free people of this country, we find ourselves fearful and resentful of law enforcement. And it's because the men and women in uniform have become just that, enforcers of the law, regardless of what they think is right. They become just cogs in the wheel of the military-industrial complex, and this is how a police state is implemented. It's done slowly, and it's done by good people not speaking up when it's happening right before their eyes. We want peace officers that operate in a manner consistent with this peaceful community that we have here in Austin. Austin enjoys one of the lowest crime rates in the country, and that's something that we should be proud of. Last week, this council passed authorized a contract with Citel Group, which is $350,000, and it's grant money, of course, which is, as you know, printed by the Federal Reserve, and it's further crippling our economy and putting us into more and more debt. And what this contract does is it is a full-scale training exercise called Urban Shield, and it is comprised of the City of Austin, Round Rock, Travis County, Williamson County, and Hayes County. I know that there was a little bit of discussion done during the working group, but there really was not substantial discussion to this issue. And what they're doing, they're not focused on preparedness for natural disasters. What it is specifically for terrorism. It will involve personnel, including regional emergency managers, fire and emergency medical services, law enforcement, and related government and corporate partner personnel. I think that that is key. What they highlight is the fact that the City of Austin will be working with different jurisdictions in Central Texas, but what they downplay is the fact that there's going to be related government and corporate personnel. And when you look at the execution of this exercise around the country, you'll see that our police officers are going to be training alongside U.S. military and foreign troops. Are doing this, and they're doing these in countries in the Middle East. That's absolutely terrifying. These things are designed for war zones. Is that what America has become? Is that what Austin is a war zone? And if so, who is the enemy? We have DHS Fusion Center reports coming out that people like myself could be targeted as a potential domestic terrorist. I espouse pretty radical ideas about liberty and freedom sometimes. I repeatedly bring up the Constitution. I disapprove the direction of government, and I support the candidate for President Ron Paul, which they said is a potential threat to law enforcement. That's really scary to someone like me, and it's a scary direction that our country is going in this city in particular. And what makes Citel Group even more disgusting is that they're facilitating the war profiteering of their sponsors. They also do vendor shows, which offers access to the latest gadgets and tools, and one of the vendors is L3, the very corporation that spent $5 million on federal lobbyists last year, and that we have their machines in our airport and our prison now. We have a body scanner in Travis County Jail. I'd like to see more discussion on this, please. I'd like to see us only work with local personnel rather than the military, and we can do this through the Public Safety Commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Heather.